What is the legal position that we have now on what is the name?
Sylvester.
On Sylvester's case? Where are we on that case?
Yeah, but I would quickly lay foundation so that people will understand.
Will understand, yes.
In every criminal matter in the States, after investigation, we say prosecution starts from investigation.
Yes.
After investigation, the file is sent to the Director of Public Prosecution at the Ministry of Justice.
Yes.
And then they will now return an advice whether the investigation and the fact is enough to put somebody on trial or whether to take up the matter, even if they feel the matter is beyond the police prosecution.
Yes.
So in most cases, that's at the lower court. If it's at the high court, they investigate, police will investigate, send the file, turn in the file to them. They look at the fact. If they need further facts, they will request for. But in the case of, like in the case of Sylvester,
Yes.
after typical of death-related matter, there's always the need for cause of death.
Yes.
Because you are charging somebody for either murder or manslaughter, there's need to establish that the action of the person you are putting on trial actually caused the death of the deceased person. So in this case, what the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, has said is that the autopsy report revealed that he died of I've forgotten pneumonia, sepsis, and
yes.
and that the allegations in the public as to beating by the 5 students named was not what caused the death.
In the case of murder.
In the case of murder.
Okay.
And so some other persons, some people also have said, yes, for the case of murder, these allegations, its autopsy report had revealed that was not what led to the death. But there are some other issues that were raised in the course of investigation, like one, bullying, which some teachers and other students, alleged to. I also would have expected, the government to also talk about those parts so that you cover the feed.
Let me ask a question there. Is it the job of the DPP to look into the issue of bullying in this particular instance?
In this particular instance, it's a criminal offense when we say that torture, even though it's not the cause of death, but that the allegations of torture. So I had expected it's also his duty to say on this area, these other areas that were raised, please give us further facts. Carry out further investigation, but as far as prosecution is concerned,
in terms of murder,
on the cause of murder, the autopsy report had proved otherwise.
Do you know if the family are disputing the autopsy report?
No, nobody has come out so far to dispute that autopsy report.
I see, because I know that they had representatives.
Yes, and the autopsy report, from what I learned, was videoed from the beginning to the end. The family had representatives there.
Even the accused persons.
I think Lagos State, it was conducted in Lagos State Government Hospital, and then also the school had representative there. So for that, nobody is disputing that.
So whose job? Of course, it will be the job of the police to go back.
Investigate bullying.
Well, I learned that the person who was the DPP in any case had been made a judge and had to be moved out of there. And this woman was acting. But Femi Falana, if what I read is correct, said that there was no DPP.
These are technicalities.
Exactly.
The DPP is a directorate in the ministry.
Yes.
It's not just one person.
One person.
It's usually the advice is signed off by the person in charge or for and on behalf. It's a department, just like you have Department of Civil Litigation, you have Department of what do you call it, solicitorship, and then they have a department for public prosecution. So it's a department. I would not want to dwell on those technicalities. These are issues for the technical details for preliminary objections in court. And you know, lawyers, we can very technical when it comes to these issues. You know, you first, want to bamboozle the lawyer on the other side by raising, little technical
I think
things.
he
That this
represents
advice,
he represents the family. Is
yeah,
that right?
that this advice ought not to have come from.
But he
this person.
disagreed
But
with the advice.
for that's what I'm saying, that disagreeing with the advice on technical grounds or disagreeing with the advice on medical ground. If you say you disagree with the
see.
advice because it's coming from somebody who ought not to have issued that statement, it's a different thing from saying I disagree with the advice because it was not properly conducted.
I see.
You can disagree with the advice on the way and manner it was released, but except you say you're disagreeing with the advice on the ground that the autopsy was not properly conducted and all the parameters, medical parameters, were not properly followed. That would be a different case altogether. But in as far as the autopsy report is concerned, I've not seen, I've not heard medically from both the family or other parties, disputing. But the only area for me, like I had said, is you look at the cause of death, but there are other issues that I also think that the Lagos State government ought to have asked the police to conduct further investigation.
It's not too late, though.
Yes, to conduct further investigation on, and then establish that truly, if even though you say this didn't lead to his death,
but we want to get to the bottom.
We want to get to the bottom. Was he tortured by this?
And more so when he claims he was forced to take some substance.
So all of that's why I think the report for me is not conclusive. You only addressed one side of it.